One of the values of MBSE is giving you kind of a consistency and a coherence to your design. And so if you're trying to scope an MBSE effort, what you want to do is you want to kind of identify areas where having that consistency is going to give you the most value. So as an example, if you have a lot of different systems that are going to compose your overall system with a lot of different interfaces to manage, hey, maybe that's a good place to apply MBSE. If you only have one system, maybe the overhead of applying MBSE isn't worth it. So I don't think that I can say specific functions do or don't work with MBSE. I think that's a judgment call that each project, each person needs to make, kind of work out the value that they see and kind of the cost and make that an assessment. If I look at our MBSE effort right now, there's a few areas where MBSE is weak. So the first is the overhead of capturing the information. One of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to make things that are currently only implicit in people's head actually explicit and capturing that in a rigorous way. And we're trying to do that also in a consistent way. And so there's overhead associated with that. I think a clear path of evolution is reducing that overhead. There's different ways to do that. One is improving the tools. Two is improving our system engineering training so that, kind of incoming system engineers think more in kind of this structured way about the system. They're more comfortable with, definitions and terms and standardization. And so that kind of helps, mentally kind of overcome that overhead. Another big area is in analysis. So, here at JPL, we've developed some specific analyses for our systems. If you look in, across academia and industry, there are also some system level analyses that are being developed, but really that's a significant gap. So to me, okay, we have a lot of information about our design and our architecture. What can I really do with it in terms of, can I apply machine learning techniques to identify potential gaps? Can I do performance analyses with higher fidelity tools than we do now to better understand our mass and power and energy stories? So definitely applying analyses, I think, is going to be a big growth area for MBSE. The third is visualization. So similar to analyses, it's trying to convey that overall design to folks. We've investigated a lot of different approaches. So for example, crazy idea is you have the system and you use something like virtual reality or, the Microsoft HoloLens or something like that to actually overlay a CAD of the system with, specific properties that may be captured in our model and actually see the system from different perspectives. Well, where am I going to get the most radiation? Where am I going to get the most thermal and stuff like that? So really improving the way that we see the systems while they're still under development, I think it would be a big step that we're currently kind of working towards. If I had to sum up my experience in one word, I would say challenging. We are trying to bring about, a significant change to the way that people do their work. And any time that you have that kind of process change, there's going to be a lot of kind of challenges that you need to overcome. In our case, we have folks that have been working at JPL for a long time. They're used to working a certain way. We're also kind of, at the cutting edge, and so I can't just say, well, this worked on MSL, so let's just do it, right? We have to really pitch why this is a good idea and kind of keep at it. Another thing is kind of a lack of training. So as we bring new folks onto the project, we have to always train them up. The best way I could describe it is really implementing MBSE. It's challenging, it's rewarding. We've definitely made significant strides. Our flight system engineer said for one of our big reviews, when we were preparing the material for the big review, we didn't find any large gaps between the different subsystems. And so that was the first time that he'd experienced a review like that. And so to me, that's part of the benefit. But if you look, day to day, there's still an uphill climb.